I'm going to be going around the world interviewing and introducing the official supporters branches of Manchester City Football Club around the world, and getting to know the branch members, the people that run the branches, and how they organise it, how they feel connected to the club, and how they enjoy match days and living the dream supporting Manchester City Football Club. So in the next few weeks and months, I'll be going around Asia, America, and Europe. And over the next few weeks, I'll also be talking to Kevin Parker, who runs the Manchester City Supporters Club, organised it centrally from the Etihad. So as we start today, well, I'm going to introduce my home branch, which is based in Melbourne in Australia, so the Melbourne Blues. And I'd like to introduce Steve and John. And we'll go to Steve first, I'd like to obviously introduce Steve. And can you tell us, obviously introduce yourself, Steve, and what you do for the branch, and then we'll go to John after that.
Yeah, thanks, Alan, and welcome everyone. My name's Steve Bardsley, and I'm the General Secretary of the Melbourne branch. They call us the Melbourne Blues. Sometimes they call us bananas in pajamas because we get up and watch games at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We've got about 250 members, and we're hoping to make that 300 this year. We started in 2010 as an official supporters club.
Yep.
We were unofficial before then. And we started with 12 members 11 years ago. And as I said, we got 250. So we're doing very, very well. We are one of the largest branches around the world. And look, we have great fun. We meet and watch all the games at the Imperial Hotel in the centre of Melbourne. And it's just a great thing to be part of a supporters club. It does make you feel a lot closer to Manchester City. And we love it.
Okay, and the 250 members, are they official members, or do you have more that are unofficial? How does it work?
Yeah, we've got 250 which are official, which means that they have a Manchester City supporters number.
Right.
And there are official membership, which you can see that on the Supporter Club website. But we do have unofficially, I have a list of people who say don't want to be a citizen or don't want a support club number. They just want to support the club. They just want to follow City. And we've got about 330 on that particular list.
Okay, so there is a lot more to try and grab hold of. And obviously, yeah. And John, I'll introduce John now. What do you do, John? And I take it you're a committee member as well, or?
Yeah, I'm the treasurer, so I manage the Football Supporters Club Fair Play. So basically, I keep the accounts and make sure that we're spending the money wisely, and produce reports every committee meeting and do at the AGM. So I mean, it's not something I did as a profession, but it's something that I've kind of grown into. And it's quite enjoyable because we try not to have too big a balance. We try and spend the money that we have wisely. And we donate to charities as we can. So we've been a big part of City in the community.
Okay.
And Steve can probably talk to some of the big fundraising efforts that we've had in recent years.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things that we do is raise money for charities.
Okay. Obviously, you obviously get involved quite heavily. How often do the people meet at the branch? They watch it in the Imperial? And I can tell your expats, because you've got your Manc accents there. The membership, is it all expats or is it split? How does it format within the branch? Is there a good expat community there, or?
Well, there is a good expat community, obviously, and John and myself and many other members are from Manchester. But I have to say that we actually have 21 different nationalities as members of the Melbourne branch. So we don't just want to be an expat, Manchester club. We want to welcome everyone in Melbourne who supports Manchester City. And but we have members from all over the world, China, Korea, Nepal, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, of course, Korea, South Africa. It's remarkable. Indonesia,
even Australia, Steve.
and yeah, we've got a few Aussies as well.
So just for people to understand, obviously I'm part of the Melbourne branch as well, and Australia is built on immigration and people coming from all over the world to come and live and work here, and so you're going to get a multinational type of community, so everyone gets involved and mixes. So that's the way it works. Now, obviously, you said you've been running since 2010. How did you grow the branch? What did you do to get people interested? How did you get? Because we're going to put all the information on this video about how to contact the Melbourne branch and how to contact you and to grow the membership. How do people get involved? What did you do to get people involved?
Well, basically, what we did is we use social media. So now you can contact the Melbourne branch, obviously by Facebook. We have a Facebook page with over 300 members. We have a Twitter account. We've got an Instagram account. Basically, we got lots of social media channels.
Yeah.
And of course, what we do is we the Imperial advertise for us and host events for us. And so when people for example, from England, they land in Melbourne on holiday, pre-COVID, of course, and they're looking for a place to come and watch the game. And guess what? They come and join us at the Imperial. And then even some of those guys then say, oh, what a great branch. You made us very welcome, and they join us. So we've even got a couple of members from the UK who prefer to be a member of the Melbourne branch.
Okay. And then, John, obviously being the opposite end of the world, I take it the games are on obscure hours. How does that tend to work? Does the pub stay open, or how does it work, the Imperial?
It depends. Generally, they stay open. They're very, very good at accommodating us. Fantastic, really. Some of the games, depending on how many people are going to turn up, they'll say if you can't get more than 20 or 30, then it's probably not worth them opening, but generally they're open for every game. Typically, certain times of the year we have great timing, 9:30 or 11 o'clock at night, which is fantastic for watching games.
Yep.
Some of them are less user-friendly, like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Some of those are a bit harder to get out of bed for, but typically they're the ones at the business end of the season. So FA Cups at 2:30 a.m. are kind of hard to do, but if you win it, it makes it all worthwhile.
So I take it that's on a Saturday night and a Sunday night and Monday morning when people went to work. Wednesday night games Thursday morning, the Saturday night games Sunday morning, and the Sunday games are probably the hardest for a lot of people because they're on Monday mornings. They're going to go to work. Well, that's dedication.
I'm retired, so it's not an issue for me, but for a lot of people, it's tough.
That's dedication for you, that, isn't it? And
it is.
How important is it to have, would you say, a official supporters branch in Melbourne and obviously around Australia and around the world? How important to you is that link to home and link to the football club?
Extremely. For a long, long time, I just felt like I was the only City fan in Melbourne because we just had no way of connecting with all the others. And suddenly, you've realised there's a whole community out there.
Yeah.
Every other shirt you saw was red, either the ones we don't talk about or Liverpool. It's been really good at bringing people together. I think it's been fantastic. Really.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Steve? How important is it to you, from Manchester? And I can tell from the pair of you, you're both from Manchester, and so am I. How important to you is it that this network has started and City fans meet?
Oh, look, I think it's amazing. And for example, one of the great things we did in 2015 is we had a dinner at the Crown Casino, and we invited supporters from all over Australia to come. And we had Mike Summerby talk and Danny Tiato also spoke, and we had people. They came from obviously Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, New Zealand, Brisbane.
Is that when City were touring around Australia at the pre-season? I think it was 2000. Was it 2014? That was it.
2015.
15. Okay. Yeah.
So it was part of the trophy tour, of course, and that was just a magnificent dinner. And I do remember that Mike Summerby, when he came in, we had the whole restaurant at the Crown Casino. And when he came into the room, he was quite shocked. And he said to me, "Oh boy," he said, "Steve, they told me there'd just be a few City fans here." And of course, we had 380 City fans from all over Australia. And what a great night that was.
It was a great week for City to remember, because obviously we were playing Roma and Real Madrid at the MCG. Yes. And I remember the Imperial. It was literally like being transported back to Manchester for a whole week. It was fantastic. I was homesick. I was homesick after that.
Amazing. Yeah, and everybody said that. They said it was just like walking into a pub in England, and it was great. And the Imperial were absolutely, totally amazed at how many, City fans that we brought into the pub. I mean, it was totally and utterly full.
Every day.
Any room, every day. And there was actually a queue of people trying to get in down the road for about 200 or 300 yards. So I think they did well.
I remember the week. It literally. I took the week off, and I felt homesick the week after when it all finished, and it did want to make you go home to watch the boys. I remember it well. Yeah, I remember it well. Now, obviously, the supporters club has grown in that 10 years. Can you talk to me about the sort of functions you have and the charities? Obviously, John touched about the charities and the charities you get involved in and how that works and what you do.
Okay, well, being all branches really being part of the official supporters club, the Manchester City Supporters Club, there is an obligation for them to do good in the local community, just like Manchester City does. So we have done, I think, extremely well here in Melbourne. For example, over the last 5 years, we have in fact raised over $26,000 for charities. And I've got the list here of some of the charities that we have made our donations to. We made a couple of donations to the blind footballer program that runs here in Melbourne. And it helps blind people, participate in sport. And I went out to watch them, and it's, quite amazing and remarkable to watch these guys. And it was great to be able to help them, participate. We, of course, donated to Beyond Blue. I think everybody knows the Beyond Blue organisation, which, helps people with depression, etc. We worked with the Manchester United Supporters Club. You wouldn't believe it. So we got together and to make a fundraiser for the Manchester Emergency Fund after the Manchester Arena bombing. And in fact, we raised together with United, I think it was about $19,000 more or less, and so we split that in half. The Manchester United Supporters Club made a donation of about $9,000 to the emergency fund, and so did we. And in fact, our donation was the biggest of any supporters, a Manchester City Supporters Club from around the world. How's that? All the way from Australia. We were made the Manchester Evening News, and we did a great job. So, so that was a great one. We've also obviously donated to the Melbourne City, who of course are the sister football group here in Melbourne from the CFG. So we donated to City in the community. We donated to Just Giving for Manchester City amputees, so that they could go and visit sporting events. We've donated to, this was a big one, to the Country Fire Authority brigades, the fire brigades here in Australia, because most people will know couple of years ago, Australia was on fire with the incredible bushfires, and we made a couple of, very healthy donations to them. And our last donation, we made a donation to Fair Share Food Bank, which John Durham there is a volunteer at, and that's to help, needy people, in particular in these COVID times, and make sure that they can have a meal. And perhaps John could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think on the charities front, Steve, to put it in UK terms, the donations for the Manchester bombing do about 10,000 quid all up, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
The Fair Share is basically, I think there's a sister organisation in the UK, and they take donated food, and they cook meals, really good meals, and they give it to the poor and people who are in need in the community. I deliver. I don't work in the kitchen anymore. But basically, all I do is I get enough of being told what to do in the kitchen at home. But basically, all I do is I go out twice a month to a couple of 100 miles into the country to lots of small towns, and we donate to the equivalent of the British Legion, the Salvation Army, churches, etc., and they distribute the meals for us. But
that's brilliant.
There's a lot of need here, as there is in the UK, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff, guys. We'll start with John, and as far as functions of the branch and what they do, and also how close they are to the club. Do Manchester City, help you or get involved with you as far as promoting the club and working with, I was called, and I'm trying to attract here is the new City fans, the younger ones, and maybe the Australians or people that are not expats. How do you get involved in attracting those people with functions maybe, and how you, and do the club help you do that?
Very much so. Steve can probably talk to it more than I can, but the big thing I think in recent years has been the trophy tours. We've had 3, I think, so far. We've had Alex Williams came out first time, and it was great to meet a guy like Alex. He's a big bloke. The second time we had Paul Dickoff. He's not quite so big, but I wouldn't take him on. And in fact, when we won the league 2019, I think, he turned up in the pub one morning. He was out here visiting for City, and he turned up in the morning and in time to see Vinnie Company stick it in the top corner.
I remember jumping on top of him, bear hugging him when Vinnie scored that goal. Absolutely, yeah.
And he was carrying on, as we say here, like a pork chop. And the last time was Micah Richards, and what a nice man he is. And that sort of thing I think is gold, because you can see the trophies. People who not really had any greater connection with the club than watching it on TV can come in and see players, ex-players, and there's the trophies for them. It's a fantastic thing.
Was that the quadruple? All the trophies, I think it was 7 trophies, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've had 3 trophies, 4 trophies. You lose count, really. We've had the league trophy, Premier League trophy out 3 times. The FA Cup once, the League Cup 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic, because it's one thing seeing it on a TV screen being lifted up, but actually to have your photo taken with it is great. And City do a fantastic job with that. I can't think of another club that would do that, frankly.
No, that's fantastic.
And that's your question.
Yeah.
About how we attract, obviously, non-members who support City. Those trophy tours, of course, are very important, because people want to come to those. They may not be a member of the official supporters club, and then they see what we do and they join up. So that's been a terrific help. And I'd just like to add that the last trophy tour, we did have the women's football trophy as well.
Oh, okay.
The ladies one. And so we had that. So, amazing.
Obviously, regarding, let's say, the overseas fans, how have they been integrated into the branch? Obviously, us three are expats from Manchester, so we've got that connection from a long time ago, legacy, if you want to call it, which is the word that us legacy fans hate. But how did you integrate the younger ones that may have never been to Manchester, who want to go and watch a game, and they've become City fans, maybe because of the Sheikh or whatever it may have been at the time, but have adopted City as their club? How have you integrated them into the branch?
Well, I mean, that's important because, as I said, we've got 21 different nationalities. And what's very important is to make sure that they are aware that we're not just an expat, Manc type of club, and that they are very welcome. And I think one of the great things we did, which would have been 3 years ago now, we actually had a big dinner, and we invited every member to wear some of their national costume. And that was quite amazing. We had people turning up with, as you can imagine, kilts. And I remember there was some very elaborate Asian outfits that came along. People wore hats and, and that's what we do. We just make sure that people understand we are for Manchester City supporters from anywhere in the world. As if you support Manchester City, you come and join us. And I think we've been very, very successful at doing that. Well, we have. We have. I think it's more than 21 nationalities actually now. And some of the reasons why people become Manchester City fans are because that's interesting for us, isn't it? When they're not from Manchester, but they're quite amazing. And one of the best ones that I had is a South African guy. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but. I asked him, well, how come you're South African? How come you're a City fan? And he said, well, I left South Africa. I went to work in Manchester, and I wanted to watch Manchester United. And when I got there, they wouldn't let me in because there was no room. So I said, well, they can go and get lost. And I went to watch City. They let me in. I watched the game, and I've been a City fan ever since.
There is empty seats in the stand, isn't there? So there is plenty of empty seats. Yeah, exactly. Just on the touching point, obviously you're bringing in the overseas player. Do you obviously, because you're so far away from Manchester, 10,000 miles away? Do the members go back to watch games? How does that work? Does Kevin Parker help that scenario when he needs to, and by trying to get tickets if we can, not just for expats going home to see their families and friends, but Aussies who desperate to go and experience match days, which is important. That's the way the football's gone these days. How do they go back? How does that work?
Well, we have a ticketing officer who can't be with us today, Claire Maher, and she looks after the ticketing. So if anybody is going back to the UK and they want to watch a game, they get in touch with Claire. And Claire then liaises with Kevin Parker, and hopefully they can, find them a ticket. Sometimes very difficult, but I have to say the support that we've had from Kevin Parker has been remarkable. He really does try and help us out, and he does appreciate people making that long trip from Australia. Do deserve a ticket if he can get them one, and he has found some tickets for our guys that we never really expected he could. So we're very grateful to the Supporters Club for that, because there's no greater thrill for somebody to go to Manchester and be able to watch a game. So
and it's expensive, of course. Yeah, it's expensive as well, isn't it, to fly over there and get a flight and then try and get a ticket. It's not easy.
It's not easy, and of course, without a supporters club, you could basically say that visitors would find it extremely difficult to get a ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not going to happen to it. Not like the old days, you just, walk up to the turnstile,
The kippax,
pay your turn 6 and go in. Those days are well gone.
Or sneak under the turnstile like we used to do, Steve, when we were kids. And
don't tell Mr. Swales that, I used to go with my brother and I'd pay my turn 6 and I'd get my brother in for free. He'd crawl in through the turnstile at the kipbacks at my feet.
It'd be interesting to know, obviously, Steve and John, whereabouts in Manchester you're from and why you supported City? What was the roots behind that? John, talk to me about your roots, where you're from in Manchester, and what's the reasons why you supported City?
Well, I was born in Northern, which is just next to Wythenshawe, a long time ago. And my dad supported City. My father actually went with his brother to see City play Stoke in that FA Cup match in the 30s, where they had the record crowd of 84,000. My dad he played every week in the Lancashire Amateur League, so he didn't really go that often, but he took me to my first game in about 1963 or 4. And we got relegated that year. And so I don't know, it just going into the Platt Lane stand for the first time and watching the boys come out in that sky blue, and you could look around the stand and see all the cigarettes being lit up. It was magic, and I was hooked. And then, of course, lads lived locally who supported City, and I would go in the kipbacks, and it all started from there. But I'm sure there's lots and lots of people like me who can't really explain why they ended up supporting City or United, but I remember being asked in the schoolyard at primary school, "Are you City United?" I went, "City." End of story.
I know people may know that I come from the Whitefield area of Manchester. My father was a City fan. Took me to the games when I was 5, and my grandfather was from Broughton in Salford, so he went against the grain, and he was a City fan. So I think it comes down from the family all the way through. And I remember going under the Kippax turnstile and then into the Black Lane. I was a bit older with my dad and sitting on the railings as you did. And your dad held you the first time at Main Road in the Kippax Street. So I remember those days very, very clearly. And it was very exciting in those days. In the early 70s it was for me. That'll tell you me. But there we go. Steve, tell me about your background.
Well, my dad was a Manchester United fan, dare I say. So we were from a split family. My mum was a City fan, but both my granddads were City fans. And the reason why my dad became a United fan is, of course, in the Second World War, Old Trafford was bombed, and Manchester City very kindly allowed Manchester United to play at Main Road. I think we've still not been paid for that, by the way. Somebody should remind you.
We can, yeah.
And both of my granddad's sons, they decided that they wanted, for whatever reason, to support United. Great disappointment. But so both of my granddads said, "You're not going to support United. You are going to be a City fan." And of course, with my mum being a City fan, it was a done deal, and I became a City fan from 5 or 6 years of age.
So how long have you been in Australia, Steve?
I came in 1975. So that's a long time ago. But fortunately, I've been pre-COVID. I used to go back to England every 2 or 3 years, and obviously always go and watch City. I was actually born at Crumpsall Hospital and lived in Bradford.
Not Yorkshire.
Not Yorkshire, no. The Bradford in Manchester, which is near Bessick, the beautiful suburbs. And I lived opposite the coal mine in Queen Street, which is of course no longer there. It's no longer there because the City Academy is now built on it.
CFG.
So who would have ever believed that the house that I lived in Bradford would end up with a city academy right there on Ashton New Road.
What about you, John? How long have you been in Australia?
41 years, 1980 I came out here. But like Steve, I've been fortunate enough to go back. I think I've been back 26 times in the last 14 years. Very, yeah. But, I had family there, my parents and others. And fortunately, I managed to get back for some big games, which has been great. I've got a cousin who's a lifelong City fan, and he can usually find me a spare ticket if the club can't.
Yeah.
So it's been possible to sort of keep the connection, although Manchester's changed in some ways. In many ways, it hasn't really. I feel as soon as I get back there, my accent changes. I lose the Aussie and become a Manc.
It does change. It does change.
It does.
Yeah, just talk to me. Obviously, how do people connect with you as far as contact you to join and come and watch the games with you? What's the procedure? What would you recommend for people in Victoria now maybe watching this who want to connect with you, or maybe holiday makers in the future after COVID who want to come and watch games with you? Steve?
Well, Manchester City, of course, have a page where it shows where you can watch all the games around the world, and the Imperial Hotel in Burke Street, Melbourne, is of course on that list.
Is that the centre? Is that the centre of Melbourne?
It is, yeah. It's right opposite the Victorian Parliament, and very conveniently located to a railway station and the trams. So it's easy to get to.
Well, we will show, obviously, on screen where to contact Steve and John and Alan for joining memberships or getting involved in going watching games. Obviously, it's not compulsory to go to join the branch to watch the games, but obviously there is benefits to joining, i.e. if you plan to go back to the UK to watch Man City games. Before we finish, Steve and John, how do you think the club's changed recently with what's happened to the club, and how do you think they'll do this year?
Well, do you mean the Supporters Club or Manchester City Football
Manchester
Club?
City. We'll talk about City now.
Well, look, I mean, we were only talking about this recently in regard to the difference between, forget the 1960s, but the recent era. For example, Roberto Mancini and the type of football that City played there, the free-flowing, attacking football, and then Pep. We had, of course, Manuel Pellegrini and then Pep. And, we play a remarkable type of football now. You see, goalkeepers that play out. Which of course never happened before.
Strange to say, but confidence now.
Absolutely, and that football used to terrify me. When we first started doing it, I thought, oh my God, this is going to get wrong. But you see now the control that and the confidence in the way the City defenders work with the goalkeeper, and play out, and it is remarkable. We of course play possession-based football now as well, so we don't try not to give the opposition a sniff. And if we've got the ball, they haven't, and they can't do anything. So it's a very different game of football. But I have to say, when you see Manchester City at the best, and you can usually tell, can't you, at the beginning of a game within the first 10 minutes how they're going to play. But when they play, their best football, it's just remarkable to watch. They're so skillful. And of course, I believe that Manchester City have actually changed the way football is played in England, and in particular in the Premier League, because now you have a look at how many clubs are actually trying to copy, what City do. And that says it all. So Pep's made a remarkable difference to the way we play, and I can't see really City not being a power in the Premier League and the Champions League. We will be there for at least the next 10 years, and I've got to say that it's a great time to be a City fan. We waited a long time, 44 years to win a title, 35 years to win a trophy, and now look at all the silverware we have. And I think many City fans get, a little bit impatient and ungrateful, expecting City to win every game and every trophy. Hey guys, this is the best era. I can tell you that as a City fan, for over 50 years, this is the best era that it is to be a City fan.
Tell me what you think of City today.
I think, in terms of playing style, I think they're trying to spread, a uniform playing style globally, because you can see the signs of that in Melbourne City here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
In terms of playing out from the back and doing all the things that used to terrify me and Steve as defenders. Get rid was the call that you'd hear most of all when we played. But in terms of the way the club's run, it's light years away from the way it used to be run. It's the professionalism, the engagement with the supporters is just different class. The fact that they come all this way here, and not just here, they go to India, they go to Japan, they go to China. To take the trophies to supporters is something I'm sure pretty well every other EPL club does not do. Mind you, they haven't had the EPL trophy for very often recently. But I'm sure if you ask Chelsea supporters, they've never seen the Premiership trophy out here. Yeah. Whereas City are really, really good at engaging supporters these days, which didn't always used to be the case. But yeah,
excellent.
So that's really my take.
Yeah, well, obviously, thank you to Steve and John. We'll wrap this up now, and this is our first episode of Around the World Blues at the official supporters clubs around the world. And obviously, this is the Melbourne branch, and I'm sure as the time goes on, your branch will go from strength to strength. And we wish you all the luck. But well, as I say, the information to get in contact with you will be underneath this on YouTube and on Twitch. Yeah. And also, we'll give you the information on the screen how to get in contact with Steve and John and myself, obviously, as we grow the branch over the next few years and longer, hoping it goes to strength to strength. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate your help. And obviously, thanks again to the Manchester City Supporters Club, official supporters club back in Manchester, run by Kevin Parker, for helping get these guys closer to the network and bring all the branches together, which is very important to Manchester City Football Club. But obviously, we'll see you next time, maybe next week or the week after, where hopefully we'll be going to the Adelaide branch and then going over to America and then Hong Kong and Singapore, etc. Thank you very much, guys.
Don't forget, join the Supporters Club, get your membership pack, get your membership card, and be part of the Manchester City Official Supporters Club.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. And come on, City.
Alan. Come on, City.
Come on, City. Thanks, Alan.
See you.
See ya.
See you, guys.